Hi, Emmanuel with T2S, and T2S stands for Transform to Succeed. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can use Python to automate and schedule when you want your EC2 instances to start and when you want them to stop. And a use case of this scenario would be like, let's say you want some instances or virtual machines that you have hosted or you are hosting on AWS. You want them to start at 8 o'clock in the morning and then to stop at 4 p.m. when your developers or your QA people or whoever is using those instances are done with work so that they go. And when they go, you can save a little bit of money for your company. I'm gonna use Terraform to to provision our infrastructure. Also, what you require to have is, first of all, you need like 2 instances. You can have more if you want to, but I'm gonna spin up 2 EC2 instances quickly here. Let's go to our website. We are on our management console here, and what I want to do, I just want to launch instances, and I'm gonna call, let's say, dev VMs. So that's, or dev servers. So these are servers that you need to set up for your developers, and they will be using these. Let's say we want to use, you can use any of these flavors here if you want. It could be a Windows, but in our case, we're gonna just use, could be Windows, could be anything here. See here, could be anything here. So I'll just stick with Amazon Linux, and I come down here, and I don't need to assign any key pair at this point, but you can do it if you want to. And really everything else doesn't matter, but you can just check this, because what we want is just to spin up 2 instances. You can do 2, 3, 4 depending on the requirements that you have, and then click on launch instances. We're gonna give it some time to get going here. You see it's on, they are both on pending state. So we're done with that. And next, what we need to do now is I'm gonna show you here quickly. So I'm gonna show you here basically what we'll be doing. So what we want to do, we're using Python. And Python it's a scripting language, just like JavaScript, just like Bash shell scripting, just C+, and the list goes on. So we have Node.js and so on. So we have Node.js that's based on JavaScript. So we have Python, that's what we'll be using, and we'll be using that as our language. All right. So the service though we need on AWS will be Lambda. It's a serverless resource, meaning that we only take care of our code that will be uploading to Lambda. That's what we'll be taking care of. And the underlying infrastructure, we don't have to worry about that. AWS will take care of it. So it's a serverless resource that we're gonna use. And then, of course, we have our EC2 instances. And the other thing that we're gonna need to do are IAM. So we're gonna create a role and define a policy, and then attach policy to the role. Policy to the role. So that's kind of like our plan here. So we have 3 things here, 4. And we're gonna have the 4th one. The 4th one we will do all of that using Terraform. We're gonna do all of that using Terraform. And Terraform, it's what they call an infrastructure as code tool. So it's what they call, it's IAC tool. So meaning that you use it, you write some configuration files, and then you only use these life cycle here. So you're gonna use this life cycle. So you have to initialize your working directory by using terraform init, and then you have to plan and validate by using this command here, terraform plan. And then the last thing that you do, it's gonna be apply. Just as it says it, you're gonna have to use terraform apply. So you apply the once you're happy with the configurations and stuff like that, so then you just use terraform apply to apply. All right, so that's what you do. The prerequisites, what do you need to do this, to complete this project? First of all, you're gonna need an AWS account. So that will be number one. Number two, you're gonna always say use AWS CLI. Make sure that it's installed on your system. And number three, install Terraform on your system. So you're gonna have to install that, and then you should be ready to go. Oh yeah, you should be ready to go. Ready and go. That's it. So that's what we'll be doing here. All right. So let's go back to our management console, and we see that these instances are running, and what you need from these instances is just these instance IDs. Okay, that's what we'll need, and we'll be watching this as we go on. So let's go back to our console, to our command line. So what I always want, also encourage my students and my colleagues, is to have installed on your system this tool here, Visual Studio Code, in short VSC. This is what I use here. So you want to see here, and then what you need to have on your system. And of course you can get all of these scripts from my GitHub repo. I think I have something, yeah. And or you just click in the notes. You should see the link. All right. So you just git clone that repository, and when you clone it, it's gonna be installed on your local machine. And once it's installed on your local machine, you're gonna have this. You're gonna have Python runtime, because that's what you need. All right. And then when you will not have Node.js runtime, because that's a different way. That's using JavaScript to start and stop your instances, which are not. That's not the video that I'm recording right now. This is different. It's gonna be a different video. With Python, that's what we focus on in this specific video. Okay. So once you git clone everything here, you're gonna have, first of all, you will have the configuration files here. Usually when you use Terraform, I always encourage my students and my friends to always go with main outputs terraform tfvars and variables. So you have like the main. This is where you're gonna spin up you're gonna. Yeah, these are configurations to help you provision the resources that you need. So let's look at these resources quickly. First of all, you have to specify your provider, and this could be Azure, Google, Alibaba, IBM, Oracle, whatever cloud computing platform you're using, and then you specify the region. And you see here I'm using var to say that. And then the reason why I do this, I don't want to hard code my main TF file. I always don't want to do that. So you just use variables, and which will allow you to only configure like the terraform.tfvars. That would be the file that you have to configure, right? And we'll get to that point in a moment. So first, it's the main TF file that you have to configure here. And what we're doing here, we're creating our first resource is an IAM role, which Lambda will be using. Okay, so Lambda, it's a serverless resource on AWS, and Lambda will be using this IAM role. So I create the role, and then after creating the role, this is the role policy. I create the role policy. No, this is the role. I create first the role, and then here I create the role policy, and then attach it to. I'm gonna attach it to the role that I have created here. So see here, that's why we have this here. So I'm attaching that to the role here. And then the role will say we can describe instances, we can start instances, and we can also stop instances. And then also I added SNS publish because we want to notify our developers saying, hey, your instance is starting, hey, your instance is stopping, and it is stopped. So that's it. The effect is to allow, and the wildcard is okay, everything. So in here, all right. So the second resource, the third resource that we have to create, that's an SNS topic. SNS stands for Simple Notification Service. This is what will allow us to receive an email, and you create a topic, and after creating an SNS topic, then you have to subscribe to that SNS topic. That's the next resource here, and then I'm gonna add this email here. One of the emails that I use when I teach. The next thing that we need to create now are the functions. So we're going to create two functions. The function to stop the EC2 instances, and then the other function will be to start our EC2 instances. So that's just kind of like what we'll be using. And here you see the file name. We're gonna use the Python script, which is part of the it's also in the working directory here. We'll be using that, and you see Lambda uses a runtime, and there are different kinds of runtime. Runtime uses different languages. So you have Python, you have Node.js, and the list goes on. So that's it. And the next resource we want to create, it's a CloudWatch event rule. This CloudWatch event rule is what will either start the instance or stop. It's gonna be a trigger to tell Lambda, hey, now it's time to run that function or that code, which will upload to Lambda. So that's what you need to know. And then we'll have the allow event bridge, which will invoke the start. So we're combining all of these resources here, and then we're gonna have to zip. We zip our codes here, and we're gonna zip both codes, and the codes are here in Lambda here. See here, so we have the start Python code here. What we do with this code, we're gonna import the OS, and then we import the Boto 3, which works with AWS. Then we define our function here. It's gonna be Lambda handler, and Lambda handler will do the following here. Then it's gonna try, so meaning that it goes through these lines here, and then we have some exceptions here. So it's gonna take care of all of that. I don't want to get into more details about Python here. All right, so stop sign is stop the stop folder here, or directory. It's pretty much the same, at the exception that here we have the stop here. So we have replaced all of that, and here stopping instead of starting. So that's what we do, and then we already have the zipped, because I did the work before sending this to my GitHub. So if you go back here, and so we're gonna have to do this, and to do this, I'm gonna delete this here. I'm gonna delete that, because the part of the terraform here script, it's gonna have to zip. It's gonna have to zip this file here, the stop EC2, to make it become this one here. So what we're gonna see this when we run our terraform apply. Okay. So that's pretty much about it. The output is just whatever you want to display as an output after running your script. Terraform.tfvars, you don't disclose these to people. But what we want to do today is, remember, personally, I'm in Central Time. So to get the UTC time, that's +5. Like right now, it's 3:50 p.m. So because it's 3:50 p.m., so I'm gonna change this to 3. I would say maybe let's do 3:50. 3:55. So we're gonna start this one here at 3:55 Central Time, and because it's 3, so 3 it's 12, it's 15, right? So 15 plus 5, it's gonna be 20 here. 20:55. So that's the correct time in UTC. And then so then you have to do this. Remember, so we're gonna start with hour or minutes here, right? This is minute. Yeah, this is minutes. So it's gonna be 55, and then we'll go to the time here. It's gonna be 20, right? So I'll see if I'm doing it right. So we're gonna do here. It's gonna be 21, because we want to stop at 4 here. So we're gonna stop, let's say, at 4:05. So it's gonna be 05 here. Those are the minutes, and it's gonna be 16, and here it's gonna be 21:5. So what we do, we're gonna start our EC2 instances. You know what? Let's say 4 here. Give us enough time, right? So we're gonna do 4 here, and then we'll stop at 10. So this is gonna be 0, and this will be 21. This is gonna be 0 and 21. So the rest we leave it as it is. So it's gonna be every day of the week, every week of the month, and every month of the year. So that's kind of like the rest, how you should read the rest. So cron, it's something that you use primarily on Linux operating systems. It's cron. You create jobs, cron jobs. You schedule those jobs to run whenever you want them to run, and how often you want them to run. So that's what you can do here. So what we need to change here, and remember, you don't show this in the real work environment. You don't share this with anybody else. All right. So I'm doing this just to help you, make sense of this stuff. All right, so this is what we have. And now next we need to change to replace this with the correct instances IDs. So we go to our website here. As I told you, we're gonna copy that. So that'll be the first instance. And then we go back to our VCS here, or VSC. Did I say it right? Yeah, I think. All right, so back again here, and then I'm gonna copy this, then go back to our Visual Studio Code, then we're gonna replace that there. All right, that's done. And then here, I don't think we need to do anything here. Don't change anything, just copy once you have this entire directory. Then you should be set. The only thing that you change, the only thing that you change would be the terraform TF here, because you add the correct values. And variable, you don't change anything here. It's just you define your input variables here. And then, one of the best practices, you don't have to do this, but you can use the export command. Then for a region, you assign this. For instance IDs, you do this, and start schedule and stop schedule and so on. So that's done. And what we need to do now next is to begin working on our system here. So the first thing, if you do this, you see we don't have the zipped files. So the first thing is, first you have to initialize, as I told you, you have to initialize your system. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. You have to initialize your working directory by using the terraform init. So the directory has no terraform unit. So you're gonna have to, okay, so we need to go to this. You see here, the Python. If you ls, you're gonna see these two here. So I'm gonna go to Python, and then I'm gonna do this because this is our working directory. So I'm gonna initialize. And for you to be able to use this, you have to make sure that your Terraform is installed and configured, okay? And the AWS CLI is also installed and configured. We're gonna do now. If you check here, you see we now have this one here. So we have our state, and this one here. So our state files and stuff like that. So it's all here. All right, so I'm gonna do plan. Plan, it's gonna give you, tell us what to expect once we apply the changes. So once we apply the changes, this is the plan. So there will be 12 things to be created, and then these are the outputs. All right, so I'm gonna clear, and then I'll go to Terraform apply. It's gonna ask me, do you want to apply, perform these actions? I will say yes. So I said yes, and look at to the left here. Look to the left, and you're gonna see the zip files will be also created here. You see, so we didn't have this zip file here before, so now we have them. So that's created, and then it says, okay, so all the resources have been added, and these are the information that we wanted to have. So now let's go back to our management console. So we go back to our management console, and so far we still have our things here running. And remember, it's gonna be in 2 minutes that they're gonna stop. I will duplicate this window, and here I want to show you the Lambda functions that we have created. So we have created 2 Lambda functions, the stop and the start. So click on the stop here, and this is exactly our, you remember our code that we had, our Python code to allow us to stop our instances, and the other one is the start instances. And we have our code here. So we'll continue watching to see what's happening with our instances. This is the window. They're still running, and we still have like a minute to go. So we have a minute to go. It's gonna be in a minute. It should stop. It's gonna be 4 p.m. here. 4 p.m. That's 21 UTC time. So we'll keep doing this and see what happens in just a few seconds. So now we're counting seconds and see what may happen next. So we're gonna give it some time. Okay, so I had to stop pause my video so that you can see it. So it's sometimes it takes, you know, when you say 4 p.m., it's gonna take probably 2 minutes to completely stop, and then here it is. So it's stopped, and now it's pending because it's gonna start like at 4. You know, if I take you here, I'm gonna take you to the code here. So if I take you to the code, you see here, so it's gonna, we wanted it to start here at 5 minutes after 4. So that's 21. And let's go back to the management console here. So we're gonna refresh it here, and now it's running. It's back to running again, because that's how we set it up. So we set it up to shut down at a given time, and then now it's back to running again. I didn't know how to show my time here, but this is how it works. And the only tricky part you will have to work on is finding these times, defining these times. So you have to make sure that you define them okay, and make sure that you have the correct IDs for your instances listed here. And otherwise, this is how you do it. This is how you use Python to stop and start EC2 instances automatically. So you don't have to do it manually. Just schedule it, and AWS will take care of the rest. This is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, and remember to share, because I wanna help as many people as possible. Thank you so much for doing so. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.